You know what that sound means? It's game for a movie time where we ask, are you game for a movie? My name is Mike. I am joined by
Jill.
Mitchell.
And our special guest, Mark, has joined us again for our secondary episode of the Oscar nominations. We are making our predictions. We have also been drinking. You can hear in the first episode what we were drinking. We're starting this one off with international feature film. The nominees are Drive My Car, Flee, The Hand of God, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, and The Worst Person in the World. I've heard of three of these.
Oh, good. What three have you heard of?
Drive My Car, Flee, and The Worst Person in the World.
Mm-hmm.
Heard of two of those, Drive My Car and Flee.
Well, yeah, so I'll go first then, I guess. That I've only seen two of these. But the one of which I have seen, I think is a definite for sure, is gonna be Drive My Car from Japan, because it's nominated for Best Picture as well. And it's really hard to no, I mean, it makes sense. If you're nominated for Best Picture and International Feature, you're gonna probably at least win International Feature.
I'm sorry, Parasite nominated for International Feature Film and Best Picture.
I know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think it's got that momentum though.
No.
I've heard way less about Drive My Car than I did about Parasite.
And Parasite is, I guess, thinking of it as a better movie. It's definitely more rewatchable. I think it's an easier watch. This one's a much more slow one. You have to be much more, both you have to be invested in. But anyway, point being, I'm going Drive My Car.
I'm going Drive My Car as well. And I just want to bring up about Parasite because we need to talk about it. When Parasite won Best Picture, somebody in this chat cried.
That was me.
Are you kidding me? Okay, so I didn't guess that one when that happened. I thought it was going to be the 1917. And when that happened, I didn't care. I was so happy that Parasite won. It was one of the few good moments of the year 2020 because it happened right before the pandemic hit. So,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to Drive My Car too, just so we all know.
I'm gonna say Flee.
Perfect. Jill, talk about Flee. Let me hear it.
It's animated. It's nominated actually in international feature film, documentary film, and animated films. So it actually is going to be in two more categories that we're going to see coming soon. I don't know much about it, but it's animated, and you know what? I like a cartoon. I think Drive My Car, since it will be nominated elsewhere, it probably will win this one. I don't know if it's going to win Best Picture overall, but you know, we're now squarely in the part of the podcast where we're talking about films I genuinely just have not seen at all. Like Summer of Soul is going to come up, and I know of it, haven't seen it, but I bet that's a really good film, and I'll throw my hat in the ring for it to win something.
So I think it's a good transition in the mic.
It does. Yes, documentary feature. Here are the nominees: Ascension, Attica, Flee, Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, and Writing with Fire. And I need it to be Summer of Soul. It was so damn good.
You did see that?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah, I saw it too. I saw it.
Oh my God. I loved it.
Get Back.
Too long to be nominated?
Oh no, that's where I think that's because it was one of those weird issues where it was like also a TV show kind of thing as well as a movie.
It was,
yeah.
I guess it was maybe maybe got an Emmy nomination.
Yeah. I was more surprised too. The Rescue didn't get one. That one from Disney Plus, which was about the rescue of those that soccer team of 12-year-old boys and the Philippines or something.
Elon Musk has his hands in the academy, and he's like, I don't want to be reminded of how I totally failed at helping.
Oh, ooh.
That's all. I'm really happy those kids were saved, but it's a shame that that's the element of that affair that I remember is that my opinion of Elon further bottomed out because he doesn't know the word no.
So Summer of Soul, the music was amazing. The storyline was great. Right? I absolutely loved it. I'm 100% for it. That's what I'm going to pick just based on love alone. It might not win. I don't care because I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite movies of last year.
And we talked about this category without bringing up Questlove. And I feel like that's a big part of why this movie has so much fanfare around it.
Right.
People love Questlove from the
Mhm.
roots.
Yep.
And I feel, and Summer of Soul is the favorite, not a heavy favorite. It's minus 250 and Flea's number 2 at plus 200.
Okay.
But Summer of Soul is my pick as well. And fingers crossed, it would become, I believe, the first film ever in Oscars history to be referred to as a John. And that is a very Philadelphia slang.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
yes, Questlove calls it his John. So
Yeah.
just like Spike Lee has joints, Questlove has Johns.
Johns.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I'm still saying Summer of Soul too. That was in like my top 5 of last year. It was phenomenal. But I will say also watch out for Flea too, because as we know, it's got one more category we're doing here soon in animated. And honestly, I think documentary, because it's nominated in all 3, which is like a first for any movie, which is
That's
really
very
cool.
rare. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also, so there could be a way of wanting to spread love for it and saying, well, we hate to leave it, going home empty handed. There's also the fact of what the subject is about, that it could kind of relate in a sense to what's happening in Ukraine right now.
Mhm.
So I'd say watch out for that. I still think it's going to be Summer of Soul. Also, I did see Attica. Attica was tough watch, a good
Okay.
watch, but a tough one. So yeah, but
That's
Summer
good
of
to know,
Soul is
though.
my pick.
I looked it up because I was curious to see if it got nominated for both international and animated Waltz with Bashir, but I think it was only nominated for the international.
Yeah.
It was then.
I've
at
been
the time
needing
called
to.
Foreign Language.
That's been that's a movie I've been needing to see for a
It's
long time.
very, very good.
Mhm.
With
Very
regards to the films in this category, Summer of Soul is also my pick. I have not seen it, but I really, really, really wanted to. I just never got around to doing it.
It's on
I-
Hulu now, I think.
Yes, it
I
is.
think it's
is.
also. Is it also on Disney Plus or is it just Hulu?
I think it's just
I-
Hulu.
I've only seen
Yeah.
it on Hulu, but I haven't looked for it on Disney
Okay.
Plus.
Yeah, I haven't looked for it. Yeah,
I need to
but
sort out my access to Hulu. Someone I know has it. I just need to get the login info. But
I wouldn't be shocked because it's been nominated that it would be on Disney Plus. Okay.
I thought I saw. Anyway, I really want to see it. I think that besides just what the story is, the music will be phenomenal.
Literally, one of my favorite lines in a movie last year was all about it's the summer of '69, and it is on Disney Plus.
Yes.
There you go. It's the summer of '69, and they were asking people at the festival about landing on the moon, and it still relates to me today, where the guy goes, "Why do I care about landing on the moon? We still got problems here."
Yeah.
And
That's yeah.
oh, it's stuck with me. Oh my God, I'm getting chills. All right, I need to stop talking about this movie. Not because of anything, but because I love it. Best animated feature. That is what we are doing. Animated feature. Jill, you're going to get us started after I name the nominees because I know this is you. Animated feature film. The nominees are Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon.
All right. Well, I have seen 4 out of the 5. The only one I have not seen is Flea. I will start with the film that I will be pissed if it wins, and that would be Raya and the Last Dragon. I have now seen it. I am not a fan. It's not a horrible movie by any means, but it is by far the only Disney movie that comes to mind where the film actively hates its protagonist. I don't think that film is worthy of the award. If I could have it my way, I would love to see the Mitchells versus the Machines win. I think the story is fantastic. I think the humor is great. I think the message about getting older and the relationships you have with your family and how they evolve, and how reminding you that even if your family is weird and somewhat dysfunctional, you still love each other, and that we all make sacrifices for our art or for our family, and that's how we show love. I think it's a really great film. I do think the actual winner will likely be Encanto because it's such a juggernaut that it would probably be an upset if it didn't win. I think Luca, if the Mitchells versus the Machines wasn't on here, as well as Encanto, I think Luca would also be a really great contender. but I think it's just getting overpowered by some other big heavyweights. So Mitchell's versus the Machines is who I'd love to see win. I actually think it'll be Encanto.
Yeah, I think
Anybody
you
else is
said
animated?
it. No, I mean, I think Encanto is the favorite here. From the odds that I'm looking at, Mitchell's and the Machines is number 2 on this betting odds. My only red flag with Encanto, and I don't want to get too heavy with this, is there potential for backlash against Disney based on Bob Chapek's stance or initial stance on the Don't Say Gay bill? So that is the one time where I could see backlash against Disney as a company shows up in this award ceremony. And this is obviously a category that Disney traditionally, whether through Pixar or Disney Animation itself, has dominated. I think it'd be really interesting. But would it go to Mitchell's versus the Machines? I'm not sure. I don't feel that confident. So I am ultimately going to pick Encanto, but I'm just going to plant that seed in everyone's thoughts here.
I think the thing what's going on with Chapek is I would hope that, especially, you know, if Encanto had more queer themes in it and then it won, in contrast to what has come out with Chapek and the Disney company, I think that would be where the controversy is like, how did they just win an award for a film where it's all window dressing? That's not the case.
Yeah.
I also do think that Encanto was probably in production long before Chapek took control.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And like, I know
Yep.
it doesn't start and stop and end with Chapek, but I wouldn't want them to decide not to give it to Encanto just because it's like, oh, we're gonna make a stand and this is the goat, this is the sacrificial goat that we're gonna do, and then that was the hill they died on. And it's like, no, I rather have, if you're gonna take to Disney to task, do it in a far more meaningful way than just denying them a statue.
I'm with you. I just want to stir the pot a little bit.
I want Mitchell's versus the Machines to win just because of the Furby scene alone. I'm gonna go with Mitchell's versus the Machines. I think it has a chance, at least with Lord and Miller lately, especially with Spider-Verse doing so well. There's a chance that it could just keep going. I think it's going to probably be Encanto, but I am hoping, and I am going to put on my official sheet, Mitchell's versus Machines.
So I'm just gonna try to overlook what Joe said, because out of all these 5, my actual favorite was Raya and the Last Dragon.
Wow.
You gotta
But
explain
we can, but I know we got more categories to go through. So this could do it. We could do that another way. That's also, is that a way of me saying, hey, I can come on the show again? Probably. But no, I think it's my pick is for Encanto, but I would not be surprised if Mitchell's versus the Machines pulled off an upset. Mitchell's versus the Machines is the better movie, I think. I thought, but I do think, like before with Encanto, the constant, soundtrack going through everyone's head the last however long is probably gonna be there for them to vote for Encanto. So
makes sense.
Makes
sense.
I would also say that it's similar with like Luca. It really comes down to the year that these films come out and what else they're up against. Because another year with different films in there, like Despicable Me 3 or Hotel Transylvania 4, and then like Raya or Luca, it would be very obvious who wouldn't win, and then it would be neck to neck. Would it be Luca or would it be Raya? But when you've got other films in there that better, it's hard.
Get ready for Minions 2 this summer.
Oh, and Puss in Boots something.
Oh, and DC League of Super Pets. All right, so we move now to writing adapted screenplay. The nominees are Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog.
So it should be noted that, as we said before, we were recording this on Saturday. The one of the precursors that has not happened yet are the Writers Guild Awards, and those are definitely something to take into play. So at least for me, my prediction will not be finalized. Now, sometimes it's weird because the WGAs is weird because sometimes you're not eligible to be nominated for it because you're not a member of them. Like Quentin Tarantino is not a member, so he was never nominated for a WGA, which is weird when you think of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So for me, I'll just say quickly, it's a lot of logic is going towards Power of the Dog,
Mhm.
which is kind of where I'm going at, but again, I gotta wait until the WJ comes out because I'm really thinking there could be a strong case for Coda, which is a movie I'm definitely going to be talking about later on.
And what's interesting there, Mark, is that The Power of the Dog is not nominated at all for the WGAs.
Correct.
And
Yeah, Coda is.
exactly. So I'm personally going to pick Power of the Dog here. I think this is where the momentum starts to swing in their favor in the awards show and ultimately leads to, the big one. But if Coda were to win this category, look out. I think that could completely lead the direction of what we see in Best Picture.
Yeah. Definitely agree. 100%.
What else?
Sorry.
Jill
No.
and I are trying to figure out who goes next because
we haven't. There's only one here that I've seen. I don't know if Dune wins for adapted screenplay. Like, I will tip my hat to adapting whoever adapted the source material. That must not have been easy because they needed to keep they wanted to honor the fans of the original source text, but they also needed to fix bits of it for, updating it. I don't really know much about Coda or The Lost Daughter. I did the thing that you're not supposed to do if you really like movies. I Wikipedia'd the plot for The Power of the Dog because I knew I was not going to have an opportunity to see it, but I really wanted to know what it was about. I will still see it, and I'm sure I will still enjoy it nonetheless. I agree with Mitchell. I would say that this is probably the start of where the Power of the Dog's award momentum is going to begin. So I'm going to say The Power of the Dog, but I would be surprised if Dune took it. I wouldn't be disappointed. Just, okay, they went there.
Okay, so just to be clear, Jill, when we get to the acting categories, are you going to be like, I'm going to go for Benedict Cumberbatch because from what I read in Wikipedia, his performance sounded so cool.
No, well, I wouldn't say it
Okay,
sounded
good.
cool. It sounded complex.
it's very
Gotcha.
complex.
I'm just making sure you're not relating entirely on Wikipedia.
No, I'm not relying on
Okay.
Wikipedia for calls. Also, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor, regardless what you put him in.
And a dual cucumber patch.
So I can abstain from saying anything, and when we get to the acting stuff, if that makes people feel better for
Gotcha.
films I haven't
Alright.
seen.
No, I want your opinion. I don't care whether you've seen it or not. I'm gonna say Power of the Dog. That is the one I've seen of this list. But also because I think it is a very good screenplay. I think there are very good moments that are caught in this. It's funny. I wish you guys didn't go first because I probably would have been stuck between Dune and Power of the Dog. Now you got me thinking Coda, so that's why I'm like fully in the Power of the Dog mode. So yeah, I think for the rest of the way, sorry experts, shut the fuck up until we get to you, because and I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah, let the plebes say.
Let the plebes go.
Yes, because you threw me on this category. Originally, I was probably going to go Dune, but you threw me to Power of the Dog. Obviously, I would have made my decisions after this episode, and I would have probably changed it. But just for this thing alone, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. I needed to go and see our list, but I was guessing original screenplay was next. Original screenplay: Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Worst Person in the World. I'm gonna go Licorice Pizza. I think this is when they start taking over as well. And Paul Thomas Anderson, the movie looked crazy, insane, and everything, but it looked like Paul Thomas Anderson. You saw a trailer for it and you knew what you were getting into. I had an argument for King Richard, but now looking again, I'm thinking Licorice Pizza.
I'll also say Licorice Pizza. I haven't seen any of the films in this category. I really wanted to see Licorice Pizza, but primarily based off of the trailers. I think I saw definitely the first one that they dropped, maybe the second one. Everything about it looked like a film I would really like, and the story seems like a classic Paul Thomas Anderson story. So that's
Agreed.
who I would throw it to.
Agreed completely on that one. All right, experts, now you can go.
So I'm going to go PTA as well for Licorice Pizza. He's been nominated for an Oscar. I'm just looking at IMDb now, 11 times, and that's including this year's nominations. And I feel like he finally gets his Oscar trophy here. I'm not sure if he'll ever win a Best Director, but this is one of those awards where the Academy looks and says, hey, you may not be a Best Director guy for us, but you are someone who could win for Best Screenplay. They've done this with Tarantino. Most notably, recently, they've done this with Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman a few years back. He has been nominated for his writing in Boogie Nights, Magnolia, There Will Be Blood, Inherent Vice, which is a movie that not a lot of people loved, but he still got the nomination anyway. Yeah,
it's interesting he got he didn't win for There Will Be Blood, because that's a fantastic film.
That was a really tough year that year.
I was gonna say, I don't remember what other films it was.
What was that, 2006?
I think about 07. So I think it was No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Tough year, very tough year.
Yeah, against the Coens. Yeah,
exactly.
It's tough. But Licorice Pizza for me. Mark, what do you think?
I've seen 4 out of these. I never got around to Worst Person in the World, which I've heard many good things on. I think it is potentially a two-way race in a sense between Licorice Pizza and Belfast. Branagh is also someone who has not won before, but in the end, I would be going with Licorice Pizza as well too, if I had to. So yeah.
Okay, I'm not finding it. I was trying to find the nominees for that year. It's all good. We'll move on. Yeah. We're gonna go to, where am I? Best Supporting Actress. We get to the big stuff now.
Yes.
And not because we think anything about the categories doesn't deserve love or anything like that, but let's face it, when you get into your Oscar pools, these are the big ones. So, actress in a supporting role, we have Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. We have Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog, and I'm not going to get this right, for King Richard.
Aunjanue Ellis.
Yeah, you got it. Aunjanue Ellis. Yes.
Aunjanue Ellis. Okay. I actually feel all right with that one. I happen to know the best odds for this one. I would have probably voted for somebody else, but Jill, why don't you go first, and then I'll tell the best odds that I think would win.
So based off of just what I've heard Kirsten Dunst in The Power of the Dog is fantastic, and I've also heard really great things for Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. I haven't really heard any other buzzes for the other nominees. So just with those two, I'm actually going to give it to Ariana. I heard, because she doesn't play Maria. She plays the
Anita.
Anita, thank you. She plays Anita, and those are big shoes to fill. So the fact that I'm hearing really great things and that she's a scene stealer, why not? I think this might have been one of her first films too. So let's give it to the new talent.
So I think the odds are with Ariana DeBose. I could be very wrong. That's my vote. Kirsten Dunst was excellent in Power of the Dog. Aunjanue Ellis, I heard great things in King Richard. I mean, all of these women deserve the love they got. I don't know if there's anybody on this list I would have replaced any of them with, but Ariana DeBose is who I think is going to win, just based on what I've heard.
Oh, I will take it back. Ariana, this is not her first movie. She's actually in The Prom, which in a previous episode I ripped apart. She's not good in The Prom.
Remember that.
She's not good in The Prom.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that episode. I was gonna be like, yeah, was it really that bad? I
Yes.
thought it wasn't. I didn't think it was horrible, but okay. Anyway,
The TLDR, don't make plans with someone, and if the second person in the group is not into the idea, then don't do them. That is the best way to describe it. But yeah, I've just heard really great things for her role as Anita, so
All right.
stick there.
I'm a rookie. TLDR. What does it mean?
Too long didn't read.
Too long didn't read. Oh.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
you
been around
didn't
for a
know
minute.
what
I didn't know
TLDR
that. No. I always see it. And I kind of figured what it is.
I'm-
but
I
I'm
use that
good.
expression with my students all the time because I can tell that they just don't want the long explanation. So I'm like, TLDR, you click this button and then your search will be done for you.
too long didn't read. Sorry.
thank you for asking, Mike. I had no idea either.
I had no
Oh,
clue.
really? Wow.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Oh,
Yes.
me and
I'm
Jill,
glad I-
we're just on a different
Yeah.
plane of existence, I guess.
Exactly.
Tech savvy, I guess.
Mhm.
All right. You two need to decide your actress in a supporting role.
Mark, I'm not sure about you, but I think this category is pretty straightforward. Ariana
It
DeBose.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
this is so I've been doing this, predicting these for since the year 2000 or so, since I was 13, and there are a few of the categories that I can kind of remember, knowing how I did each year, and looking back, this is the category I probably have the best track record with. And I don't think it's going to end this year. Ariana DeBose is definitely the front runner here. Like Joe was saying, she had to fill the shoes of Rita Moreno from the original is far from any sort of easy task. And yet she managed to do it. Yeah, it'd be a shock if anyone else won this that was not Ariana DeBose.
And Rita Moreno won her Oscar for the
Yeah, I was
same
gonna
role.
say
Yes.
there's
Yeah,
a
okay, yep.
legacy to the
Yeah.
role of Anita. So we'll
Mhm.
see
Yeah,
if the same thing happens again.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So we're all on the same page. Let's go actor in a supporting role.
Mhm.
Our nominees are Kieran Hines, Troy Kotsur, Jesse Plemons, J.K. Simmons, and Cody Smith McPhee.
You can start this one, Mike.
Okay, so everything I've heard about this one, I don't know the odds on this one. I knew the Ariana won. I don't know the odds on this one. The fact that Jesse Plemons and Cody Smith McPhee are nominated together, I think almost cancels them out.
For Power of the Dog.
Yes, for Power of the
yeah,
Dog.
you
I'm
didn't
sorry.
mention-
Yes. All right. So Kieran Hines from Belfast, Troy Kotsur for Coda, Jesse Plemons and Cody Smith McPhee from Power of the Dog, and J.K. Simmons from Being the Ricardos. I didn't know J.K. Simmons was in Being the Ricardos.
Likewise.
So yeah, so that says no. Kieran Hines, I'm sure, is great, but the mental mind games I'm playing make it Troy Kotsur for Coda for me. I've heard nothing but great things. But really, I'm going process of elimination here more than anything else. And I think that's fine when you make your predictions, because honestly, that probably leads you with what's the best. The fact that I didn't know J.K. Simmons was in Being the Ricardos is already enough to be like, nope.
I think I know why, with regards to the two actors from Power of the Dog, they're both put into supporting. They wanted to pave the way for one person in particular. And that's based off just what I now know of the plot and all of that. I would have thought that at least Cody Smith McPhee would have been also, he seemed more like a main character than a supporting one. I did hear fantastic things though about both Jesse Plemons and Cody's performances. So a part of me doesn't even want to pick and just say it's going to go to someone from Power of the Dog. But I'll give it to Cody, just from based off of what I've heard and what I know. But I do, if it's true that the reason they put them both here so they could clear the path for Benedict to get an Oscar, maybe. I don't know if that's totally fair. That, I think credit should be given, even if it's kind of, give them the full credit. Don't be like, oh, well, we did this so we could ensure one, but don't worry, we're still going to acknowledge you, but you're not getting the nomination you probably should have gotten. That's just me.
So I think Power of the Dog is essentially going to split the votes for itself here, which in my opinion is going to clear the way for Troy Kotsur for Coda. That's my pick here. And also just on the performance itself, I had just watched it last night, so a little recency bias, but you want to talk about characters that just pop off the screen, that feel real and seem kind of like a good hang. Like I really wish I would know someone like this in real life. But Troy Kotsur I thought was incredible in Coda, one of my favorite parts of the movie. So he is going to get my nod here for supporting actor.
I think it should also be mentioned that it doesn't always split the vote. Many years there have been years in like the past, like decades ago, where like for The Godfather or something, where they'd have like 3 of the 5 nominees, and that would obviously be a reason why that might split the vote, and even then it might not have. But yeah, I'm going Troy Kotsur too, because as I told Mike beforehand a couple of days ago, when he decided to take when I told him he should watch Coda because I think Coda is the best movie of 2021, I still think that, he decided to say, no, I'm going to watch Hellraiser instead. Now, in fairness, I've not seen Hellraiser, but
it's very good.
It was
I'm sure
interesting.
it is, but I'm pretty sure that I would rather like Coda in general. The ending of Coda is like, I mean, Troy Kotsur, he also, from what I understand too, from what I've been seeing also, you know how they also like to give awards to people who can do well at giving speeches. He has been doing really well at giving his speeches and being, kind of humorous and heartfelt at the same time and stuff of that nature. And then of course there's the whole, he'd be the first male actor deaf to win an Oscar. So yeah, I'm going Troy Kotsur here.
Okay. I feel good about my pick now. Best actress is our next category. If you're watching
this one is driving me crazy. Among all the categories, this is the one I feel the most.
This is it?
Oh, you got the
on.
list right there though.
Yeah.
Just scroll down.
Yeah.
There it is. No, I had to go back. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. Okay, so our actress in a leading role, the nominees are Jessica Chastain, Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart, Spencer.
Mike, did you start the last one or did I?
I did.
I'll start with this one.
Okay.
So we're in the situation of I have not seen any of these films, but there's one actress whose performance really got a lot of positive feedback and who I think would be a really great story of winning the leading actress role, and that's actually Kristen Stewart for Spencer. I heard that she was fantastic as Diana and that the film itself is not quite what you think it's going to be. Yes, it is about the life of a week in the life of Diana. I think it is. It's a week. But it's like a high stress tension film, and she carries all of that, is what I've heard in the performance. And I used to really not like Kristen Stewart, primarily in the Twilight era. A lot of my dislike of that film's got landed onto her lap. But in the last 5 or so years, my opinion of her has done a complete 180. And I am now quite a fan. I really enjoyed her in the undersea horror film that I'm blanking on its name right now.
Underwater.
I was gonna say it's like Deep Water, but I'm like, that's a different.
No, it's just Underwater. Yeah.
Underwater. Yeah. I really enjoyed her in that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else she's doing, because it seems that she really just can't miss now with the films that she's doing. And that she's also like one of the better parts of the Charlie's Angels remake that they did a couple years ago. So she can make that good.
That plus The Happiest Season.
I haven't seen The Happiest Season. I need to.
It's very good. Like she's very good in it.
She's delightful.
I've ruled 2 out. Again, it's the process. Nicole Kidman and Penelope Cruz. I haven't heard anything about Penelope Cruz, and Nicole Kidman just does not look like Lucy to me. I'm sorry if you saw it and you liked her in it. I'm sure she's great. I have no problem with it, but she just doesn't sell the character to me. So I was stuck with the last 3. Jessica Chastain, I've heard, is really great. Olivia Colman, I can't bet against. but I am going with Kristen Stewart as well for Spencer. That is what I've heard is a life-changing role for her. Just more so because now everybody sees Kristen Stewart officially as the good actress she is versus just the girl from Twilight. We've needed these performances and the glow up from the Twilight actors and actresses. Both her and Robert Pattinson this year finally hit that role. Robert Pattinson might have hit it earlier, especially because Good Time was excellent. But this is the first one for Kristen Stewart that I feel like now she's actually being considered for those excellent roles, not just great roles. This is the one that elevates her star status.
Yeah, particularly for Kirsten Stewart, at least good, great indie roles. I feel like she became a darling of the indie film scene for a couple years too.
Yes.
But yeah, this is the reinvention of Kirsten Stewart.
I agree.
Mark,
Boys?
I'm gonna have you go first here.
Yeah, so I know this is easily the one main category this year that if I miss it, I'm not gonna feel bad about, because, and it was the same last year. I think it's even more up in the air this year, because last year when Frances McDormand won, you could at least say, well, she also won because she was in the Best Picture winner. None of these actresses are in any of the Best Picture nominees. Now, I have seen all of them, and first off, just going off for what Mike said for Nicole Kidman, she may not have looked entirely like Lucy, but she definitely sounded like her. She really
she
did
definitely
have
had the
that
voice down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the end, because she's been getting some of more of the precursors, and because there's a little bit of a it's her time type thing, for now, my vote is going to be going with Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. But again, like I said, if there's one thing you should not take my word on, it's this category. And also going with Kristen Stewart, I did see that, and I know there are a lot of people who didn't like it. I actually did enjoy that movie, Which Way It Took, and honestly, she might be my pick here if I were personally voting. The thing is, though, is that she was on a talk show recently, and she literally said she does not want to win an Oscar. So,
she said that on Jimmy Kimmel earlier this week.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes that doesn't matter. Like back in the 70s, I think it was George C. Scott who won an Oscar, even when he said, "I don't want an Oscar." But yeah. So anyway, I'm thinking it'll be Jessica Chastain, but definitely do not quote me on that.
So the odds, just according to, I'm looking at DraftKings and I'm cross-referencing with Gold Derby. The odds are basically organized like this. The lowest odds, Penelope Cruz. And then tied for third, Kristen Stewart and Olivia Colman at plus 500. Nicole Kidman is the second favorite at plus 250. And Jessica Chastain, a very, very slight favorite at minus 150. But still the favorite, right? So she has been getting more of the awards. She got the SAG most recently, which is a big momentum swing for her. And the thing about Kristen, yes, exactly. So she's racking them up in that way. Kristen Stewart, early on, like if you look back to last year, 2021, she was an early favorite to win in this category. But then we see her not get nominated at SAGs, and all these other things happen in between. And frankly, people were surprised, or the people I've read were surprised that she got this nomination. So do you look at the nomination as her getting recognized by the Academy for what is a very particular take on Princess Diana? And in a movie I personally did not enjoy, but the more I think about her performance, the more I thought, wow, she was doing a ton there. And it's really remarkable.
That's one thing that I've heard about it was the movie is divisive.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what makes me a little bit cold for voters saying, you know what, I'm going to vote for this if they don't have a good feeling about the movie. This is tough.
Yeah.
Kristen Stewart would be a big swing and would be a huge, or not huge, but it would be an upset, quote unquote, if she were to win. I'm going to go for it. Why not? Kristen Stewart, I'm going to put her down for now. But I have the right to reserve it, my opportunity to change as we get closer to Oscar Sunday.
Okay. That brings us to Best Actor. Best Actor in a Leading Role. Nominees are Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog,
You
Andrew
got
Garfield.
it right. Good job.
What?
You got
Oh.
Benedict's name right. Good
Oh,
job.
yeah. Well, the
Been
joke
hearing you
is on
saying
the
it wrong
internet.
all this time.
No, I've said it right every time except for once on purpose. There's a joke on the internet that everybody calls him like Benadryl Cucumber Patch.
They just say
Or
his name wrong on purpose.
exactly. It's a meme. Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel for The Tragedy of Macbeth. I say Denzel because I don't need to say his full name. He is one name.
That's him. Yep.
Happy he doesn't go by one name though. It's Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington, who's one of my favorite actors. So it kills me in the fact that I'm going for Will Smith of all people.
Ooh.
But King Richard, he had to create a character that was based on a real person, and from what I've been told, he did. I have seen 2 of these. Being the Ricardos, Javier, I'm sure was great, but I didn't hear anything big about it. Tick Tick Boom, Andrew Garfield, I heard was phenomenal. I saw Benedict Cumberbatch and knew I loved it, but this year Will Smith as King Richard is the favorite. It's the darling. This is the one I had an easier time with just because I've seen all the other awards nominated for him. Everybody else has kind of been all over the place. So I'm going with Will Smith. Man, I would have loved if Benedict Cumberbatch won, though. I would have loved it. Power of the Dog was so good.
I'm gonna give it to Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom. I think his portrayal as Jonathan Larson, as you said, it is fantastic. He
Yeah.
wears so many different emotional faces throughout the film, and sometimes he's changing emotion within under 10 seconds from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. And he is portraying a real person as well. And what's really, really clever about the film is that it's the story of Jonathan Larson trying to put together a workshop production of another show that he was working on. I think it was like Suspiria or something like that, this really strange sci-fi thing. And then, so that's like what the main story is. But the way the framing device is this, what was originally a one-man play called Tick Tick Boom, that then they readapted into 3 people. So Jonathan Larson and then 2 backup singers. So he's telling his story while performing it, and then you actually see him act out the story. And then there's additional layers of acting, and it's fantastic. And something I didn't know was that he was not a trained singer. When Lin-Manuel Miranda casted him, he didn't even know if he could sing. And
Manuel.
Yeah, Manuel. So they didn't the fact that they put their eggs in a basket they didn't even know could do the thing is insane to me. And you wouldn't know he was not a trained singer. He really carries the film. So I'd love to see him take it. I don't think he will win it. I don't know. I feel like everything I'm hearing says Benedict Cumberbatch is the one who's going to walk away with the Oscar, but that just might be the buzz I'm hearing. I did hear really great things about Will Smith. I didn't really hear much about Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth. That movie for me came and went. I totally forgot it even came out. And then Javier Bardem, I just haven't heard much about his role.
Is this one of the first years that 3 of the best actors are based off of real human beings?
Maybe not.
Well,
you have to look back.
So
I don't know.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's a rule with this, and I think I cut out there for a second. I think my internet cut me out there for a sec. I'm sorry. But so every year for 21st century, only one year this hasn't happened, but every year except for 2016, one of the acting winners has always been for playing a real life person.
Interesting.
So this is why I'm here, for really obscure facts like this. But
No, I love
it's
it.
true. It's true. So that said, and also because of the fact that it's a heavy favorite, I definitely don't see this going to anyone other than Will Smith for King Richard. That said, though, the one that I was most impressed by far was Andrew Garfield, because I had no idea he could sing. And I mean, sing and get away with it, I guess, in a sense. So yeah. But I think it's still Will Smith's. It's gonna be him.
Yeah, I think this is chalk for Will Smith. Minus 800 are his odds here. That's really big odds for him. Benedict Cumberbatch is number 2. But the conversation here, which I think has been awesome, Andrew Garfield is getting his flowers as an actor over the past year.
It's the Garfield essence.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I loved him in Tick Tick Boom. I loved him as Peter 3 in No Way Home. And
spoiler. I'm so kidding.
Spoiler. I am so I just feel
that's
like
officially
awesome.
on digital now. Everybody cannot say spoiler anymore.
Yeah,
it's your own fault now.
It makes me think back to 2010 with Social Network. And there's in the director commentary of it, I love that movie. There's a moment where they're at, like, I forgot what the party was, but basically it was like a dance and they're playing Niagara Falls, like a video, but they're playing Caribbean music. It was really weird. Anyway, Andrew Garfield comes across the dance floor to meet up with Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse Eisenberg, and he kind of dances along the way in doing that. And David Fincher is the director of that movie. And in the commentary, he's just like, I didn't tell Andrew to do this, but when I saw him just make his way across the dance floor like that, I'm like, we have a movie star. This is a movie star. And I feel like it has taken a long time for people like, and this is a guy who's played Spider-Man, but now 10 years later, I think people are recognizing the acting with the charisma of a movie star. And it's just been really cool to see that in Andrew Garfield over the past year or so.
Can I also say Hacksaw Ridge was nowhere near as bad as everybody made it, because he was
that movie
awesome.
was bad. I thought the movie was
middling.
Okay.
Middling.
Okay.
I thought he was great in Hacksaw Ridge too.
Yeah,
And
people thought
for
that movie was
character
middling, like
actually-
just forgettable. And I think that movie is so much better because of his level.
Yeah.
He brought that movie up.
He was good in Silence too, if you saw that.
Yes. I have not seen it, but yes, I've heard many a great thing about it about him and everything.
Yeah, with Hacksaw Ridge, he made a character that really should have been grating to me. Like, I respect that he wanted to, like, that the story is that he didn't want to compromise his morals and his ethics, but like, dude. But somehow or another, Andrew Garfield's performance overrode how annoying or like kind of frustrating that could be. So I'm here for it.
All right, we're at our second to last category. It's directing, best director. The nominees are Belfast for Kenneth Branagh.
Branagh.
Fuck yourself. Drive My Car for Ryusuke Hamaguchi. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I wrong on that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. But go ahead.
I'm really good with Japanese names usually.
That's every time
I'm
you
actually
say
really
Drive
good
My
with
Car is what I
Japanese
hear.
names. Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson. The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion. And West Side Story, Steven Spielberg. I just said that one on purpose.
Why did you say it like a New Yorker?
Because I said it wrong on purpose. Because now you don't know what I was doing.
We never know what you're doing, but anyway.
That's fair. Honestly, that's fair. Hey, I'm gonna need another beer soon too. So let's make this quick.
Yeah.
You're starting us off, man.
I thought I started off last time with Will Smith.
I started off with Andrew Garfield.
Fine. Power of the Dog, Jane Campion. Okay.
Done. Bingo bongo, buddy.
Bingo bongo, done. No, Power of the Dog, it deserves all the love because that movie was excellent. And Jane Campion was the big reason why. I thought about Paul Thomas Anderson because of Licorice Pizza. I thought about Belfast because of Kenneth Branagh, whatever, mustache origin story. But Power of the Dog is my winner for that one. And more so because of a spoiler alert for later in this program.
I mean, there's not much more to go, so.
You can probably guess it at this point.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to Paul Thomas Anderson just because I have seen a lot of his films and I've always enjoyed them thoroughly, and I loved the way this movie looked from the, and this is all based off of trailer stuff. I loved all the elements that I saw coming through that. And it's definitely on my list of I really want to watch it. I wouldn't be surprised if The Power of the Dog is the one that actually walks out with the Oscar for Best Director. There's just so much momentum behind this film right now. I really haven't heard much about Belfast, West Side Story. In a different year with different films, I could see Steven Spielberg walking away with it, but I think he's got too much competition to be a darling for it. And then I just can't say anything about Drive My Car. I don't know anything about it other than it's like 3 hours.
So my thing with Steven Spielberg, and he's one of my favorite directors of all time, but does it feel kind of like in this category, it's just, this is going to come out wrong no matter how I say it. It's past him is how I'm phrasing it, but
he doesn't
not
need an Oscar.
well, that's
Yeah, he's one of the GOATs. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't need an Oscar to validate his career,
Yeah.
especially for a remake. And
well,
no-
and that was my
bet you
point
would-
about fucking, oh my God.
Which movie? About what?
A Star is Born.
Star
Mike,
is
have you seen
Born.
A Star is Born yet?
Oh, I have.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I agree with you. I think it is a bit beneath isn't the right word, but I'm sure even Steven is just like, okay, sure, I got nominated. And if he were to win, I'm sure the speech he has in his pocket, besides the thanking of everybody, is just like he'll almost a sense of befuddlement, like, okay, didn't see that coming, but here I am. This should have gone to much more deserving people.
Including Jane
Oh.
Campion, who is my pick.
Well, Mike, this is a little late, but Mike is just off the deep end. Watch as he dives in.
I'm
Oh,
fuming.
there he
Oh,
is.
I'm fuming about a Star is Born. I'm fuming about that.
It's so
Well,
funny.
we can discuss on how you were mistaken on some of those things. Anyway, for time's sake, though, yeah, if you're the Directors Guild winner, it's really hard not to win Best Director. It's happened before, but not often. Yeah, this is Jane Campion's for me too. The only thing I will say is she had that one little hiccup recently. I don't know if you saw at the Critics' Choice where she was accepting her award and she saw Venus and Serena Williams and she said something that was taken the wrong way, where she was basically praising them. It's like, you guys are all stars, but you don't have to play against the guys like I do, or something like that.
Yep.
And that was just like read the wrong way. She ended up apologizing for it. I don't know if that's gonna necessarily ruin her chances. The only person we know who won't be voting for her will be Sam Elliott, as you've probably heard about. You've heard of that, haven't you, Mike, or no?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
What was yeah. He's not a fan.
Yeah.
Basically pure and simple.
Yeah, he was also in A Star is Born. Did you know that?
I
And
did.
Elliot, yeah.
No, so Mark, you may not have listened to this episode, and I don't blame you if you haven't. I called out the fact that I didn't think what's his
Bradley
name?
Cooper.
Bradley Cooper should
Cooper.
be nominated for Best Director because he did a movie that's been remade. What,
This was the fourth
seven
time.
times?
No, it was the fourth.
Fourth time.
time.
It has been remade.
Yeah.
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 So that was my reasoning, and I got very upset about it because I just don't think a remake should be nominated. And Mitchell called me out on it, and I had not seen it at that point. And then he started laughing at me because I had not seen it at that point.
Because you dug your heels in so hard on that take.
I
And
did.
then,
He
I was
wasn't
like,
even
he must have seen
nominated
it.
for it. Yeah, and he
Yeah, he
wasn't
was.
even not for director.
No,
he was
I
for
don't think.
direct-
He was for
Let's look-
actor.
Yeah, let's look back because I think I was complaining that he didn't get nominated for director. I think that
maybe
that was my
that was the
complaint.
reason. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Looking it up.
that's fair. If you were,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
fervently against it, and I still am with Spielberg too. Just so we're clear, and I love Spielberg. I
Yeah.
absolutely love him. I do not think a remade movie should be nominated for Best Director.
He was not nominated for director. for
Okay.
Right.
All right. So
Star is
maybe it
one.
was you were arguing about it, but whatever the point was, you can listen to
Yeah.
that episode. I'll find it and put it in here, whatever.
But if
So
if
funny.
Best Picture would have won, he would have, the way that that it is, he would have won for Best Picture. He would have walked up there as the director Bradley Cooper, not the
Right.
actor Bradley Cooper.
Exactly.
So-
And that was my thing is I fervently believe that, including one of my favorite movies of all time. I do not think The Departed should have won an Oscar because it was based on a story. It was recreated by
Scorsese.
thank you. Sorry, I'm just like spacing now. So that is my argument with that.
All
I
good.
agree with you that it depends on the adaptation. If it's almost a shot for shot remake of the original, then it is a little sus if a director gets nominated for basically walking the same path that was walked before them. It comes down to what did Spielberg bring to West Side Story that is inherently Spielbergian,
Yes.
that is absent from the other. Like,
And
I
I've
would-
seen the movie Departed is based off of. That's the one I can talk about because it is one of my favorite movies. I love The Departed. That is not the problem. The problem is a lot of it is kind of shot for shot, including the X's over the people that are going to die. Like
Yeah.
that's, that is something he took from that. All right.
So
Hey, Best Picture. We
we're
made it.
here.
We're
We
here.
did it.
All right.
3
Here
hours
are the
later.
Nominees for Best Picture: Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story.
I think this comes down to there's 10 nominees. I
Yep.
think there's 2 legitimate contenders.
Okay.
And
What are
those
your
movies
two
are
legitimate contenders?
I'm guessing
I
Power of
think
the
with-
Dog is one of them.
Power of the Dog is the favorite, and
True.
Coda.
Oh, Coda.
Coda, I think, is actually number 2. Before we get into basically our picks here, I do want to flag to everyone that the way that Best Picture is voted on is different than all the other categories. Best Picture, they use something called preferential voting, preferential balloting, whatever you want to call it. Whereas the other categories, you pick one, you pick your favorite, and that's your vote. For Best Picture, the members of the Academy rank their choices from 1 to 10. And basically how it goes, everyone's first choice is counted first. And if a movie has 50% of the vote already, then it wins. But if it doesn't, they move on to people's second choices, and it goes on from there. The
They
addition is
get
a little
rid
bit
of
more
the,
complicated.
yeah. They also get
Yeah.
rid of the last place voting one. Too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then it continues on from there. So those who had the last choice as their first, their second choice now becomes their first, and it goes on from there.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
Academy actually made we've been bad mouthing them for their choices. They actually made a sample video of sorts on their YouTube that actually explains it very well,
Yes.
which is nice.
So I'll just go first because I've already spoiled it. I'm voting Power of the Dog. I know it's the favorite, fine, dandy, whatever, but that's also the movie I've seen and I love. I absolutely love the Power of the Dog. I thought it was excellent. It was probably going to be my pick no matter what, because I just haven't seen most of the rest of these. But everything about Power of the Dog was excellent to me, and the reason why I think it should win.
Mike, I have a question. Is there someone in your past that we don't know of that goes by the name of Bronco Henry?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I will give you I will give you a fun fact about me. So my great uncle was the first print ad of the Marlboro Man,
That's cool.
Oh,
and which kind of connects to the Power of the Dog in some way, because he's just that like cool cowboy kind of thing.
Quintessential man.
Yeah. So you're welcome. I'm probably part of the reason why a lot of people have cancer. So yeah.
Eh,
all right, Mark, I want to hear your thoughts here.
Okay, I thought I'd be going last here.
I thought so too, because
Whatever.
Jill.
Oh, did
Let's
Jill not
go,
go
yeah.
already? Oh,
No.
Jill, I
No,
thought.
I haven't
Okay,
gone.
my bad. I only
Yeah.
heard. Okay, I
Hey,
thought
Mitchell.
you already went. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna
All
go,
right.
or is Mitchell going?
I
No.
really don't care.
Jill, you're going.
All right. Well, this is a really hard one for me to even vote on because there's only one that I've actually seen. I guess you could say I've seen West Side Story, but not this production of it. I
You're
Dune
going
was
Dune.
great. I don't think it's best picture great. Um, if Dune doesn't win anything but best picture, I'd be happy that it got an award for something, but I would be a little annoyed that it was this award where they're maybe going back to what we were discussing earlier, that logic of, well, they're making a second one, so we don't need to shower it with Oscars, but we'll give it one little nod. I'm gonna guess The Power of the Dog is going to win. Coda, which I really just don't know much about, Mitchell said was the top second contender for it. Sure. It would be cool to see Licorice Pizza win as well. I know I'm like just now listing off the list, but I'm gonna say The Power of the Dog for best picture just based off of popular opinion.
All right, boys, who's diving in? Who's got the perfect picture?
Well,
What's happening?
Let me cross off some names. The reason why I don't think Dune is a contender is because Denis Villeneuve did not get the Best Director nomination.
Which is still ridiculous.
Yeah, which is a little weird.
Yeah, so you could say Spielberg took his spot. You could say the director for Drive My Car took his spot, whatever. Regardless, he is not in that category. And I think that in a way eliminates Dune from being Best Picture. If there is a sequel coming, I think it's going to clean up in the below the line categories as we were talking about before. So it will be recognized. And then when I look at something like Coda, again, I go back to Best Adapted Screenplay. If we see Coda take that, then it becomes a lot more interesting. However, I have The Power of the Dog winning Adapted Screenplay. We have Jane Campion pretty much as a group winning Best Director. I just don't see how those two things working together does not come up with Best Picture here. But because of preferential voting, Coda is a very likable and enjoyable movie. Mark, I know it's your favorite from this year. I just watched it last night. Absolutely loved it. The thing about preferential voting,
it's no Hellraiser.
It's no Hellraiser. However, it's not so much about everyone's top favorite. It's what's in kind of your top three. Like, what are you most comfortable with? And that's where you could see a movie like Green Book winning a couple years ago in a controversial fashion. But preferential voting, I think, led to that. So that's where I think there's a slight pathway to victory for Coda, which I only have winning one Oscar with Troy Kotsur in Best Supporting. So I'm giving it to Power of the Dog, but I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning of this, of the first episode, how we are doing this on Saturday, so we don't know what the Producers Guild is going to do. The Producers Guild is a huge help in knowing this. They're tonight, I believe. So so right now, before knowing what the Producers Guild is, again, my thought is still thinking Power of the Dog, and obviously I would rather Coda, but I think that another thing that has to be mentioned is there's always been this biasness in the last few years against Netflix. I think in the Hollywood community, like there's a time where Spielberg himself was like, Netflix is not how movies should be watched or whatever. It should be theatrical. And then, of course, it all changed with COVID and whatnot. So I think this is definitely the best shot that Netflix has at getting Best Picture. So if Power of the Dog does not win, then you know there's something that Hollywood just does not like about Netflix, like a big biasness of sorts. Now, for Coda, that too was, I don't know if it was playing near you guys for theaters because I ended up seeing it on Apple TV,
Right.
but that one also is one that I've been seeing probably more promotional stuff for than any other movie. I mean, they're really going for it.
Yeah.
So I'm still again, pre-Producers Guild, I'm still saying Power of the Dog, but if it could definitely change. If Power of the Dog wins Producers Guild, then I'll be much more firmly entrenched with that as best picture thing. Now you should know also for me, for my predictions, last year I got best picture right, but before that I'd missed best picture like 6 years in a row, which was not fun. So use that as it may. I'm just throwing that out there, but yeah. So for now, it's Power of the Dog, but I don't think it, like Mitch said, I don't think it's going to be a clear win. It's going to be close.
Okay. Well, that'll do it for our Oscars predictions. I put out a community shout out. So I got to give a shout out to our friend Kelly at Kelly Madden 80. She's part of Drunk Theory, which is one of our sister podcasts, favorite podcasts, everything like that. She made a prediction. I predicted that if Don't Look Up wins an Oscar, I will have a minor Twitter rant and then forget about it. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to shout that out. Mark, where can we find your Oscars predictions as well as some of your other movie
I will be,
takes?
so I have a website. It's called nothingelsetosay.com where people can find it there. You can also follow me on Twitter at, oh gosh, what is it? I totally
Mark Guffin.
Yeah, Mark Guffin is my normal one, and then
Okay.
there's that. Well, that's my personal one. Then the website one is a different one. I was also going to joke that I actually made it onto Truth Social. Yeah. We'll see how long you can try to follow me on that before I probably get kicked off. But yeah. Anyway, I hope I did not just lose followers for you by bad mouthing
I
Truth
think
Social.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay, gotcha. Good to know.
Yeah. So you can follow us as well on at Game for a Movie on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We are hoping to put this out Tuesday and Thursday. That depends on me editing it.
Oh boy.
I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be all right. That'll do it for this episode of Game for a Movie, where we ask, are you game for a movie? We've been joined by our special guest.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, Mark. Sorry. Yeah.
And our normal hosts. I've been Mike, joined by
Jill.
Mitchell, Kenneth Branagh, and Lynn Manuel Miranda.
And yeah, and Cumber Umberbatch or whatever you wanted to call him.
Don't forget about our dear friend Denzel.
Denzel.
Just Denzel.
All
No,
right.
Denzel.
Denzel.
Go ahead, pronounce that director for Drive My Car. Let's see who can do better.
Oh,
Ryusuke
God.
Hamaguchi.
Ryusuke Hamaguchi.
I'm a
Just watch more
retweet Mark on
anime,
that.
Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
I do well on Japanese names. Fuck yourselves. We have
Wow.
earned that E today.
Yeah, way to go, Steven Spielberg or whatever you said.
Barg.
What?
I literally said
Spielberg?
Barg on purpose.
Hey, don't knock one of
B-A-R-G.
my, fellow my beloved Steven Juberg. Love him.
Steven Juber.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that went somewhere. Okay.
I'm Jewish. I can say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
part
she's
of the
good.
tribe. It's all
She's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Well, so that'll do it for us that are not attending the Oscars because of our beloved makeup and hairstyling people. We
I'm
stand in
not showing up
solidarity
because
with
of
you.
because of the omission of original score. That's why I'm not watching the Oscars.
Well,
No,
Jill stands with solidarity too.
I have to watch it. It's on my birthday.
Oh, we're watching, but we're just not showing
Yeah.
up.
I'm not
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah, take that,
I'm at a bridal
Academy.
shower the next day, or the day of. So I
Okay.
ain't watching.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Game for a Movie. We'll see you next time.